Alright, you guys, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're going to be going over Politoed, Poliwrath. This is actually kind of an interesting deck. It is kind of a stage 2 toolboxy sort of deck, similar to how Gardevoir and Sceptile run. But it does have natural synergy with each other. It does require you to get out multiple things instead of where the other stage 2 decks just have to get out like 1 or 2 stage 2s. This one you kind of have to get out, I wouldn't say all your stage 2s, but you'll find out. You'll see what I mean by that in a second. But anyways, it does kind of revolve around this Politoed. This Politoed has the ability King Song. Each colorless in the attack cost of your Poliwag, Poliworld. You can ignore all the colorless of Poliwag, Poliworld, and Poliwrath's attack. So, looking over at the Poliwraths, that means these attack for 1 energy. This attacks for 1 energy. This already attacks for 1 energy, so there's that. And then this attacks for 1 energy. So all of your Poliwraths now only attack for 1 energy. I think that's actually super, super cool. But yes, so they're all those. And this Politoed, you're not going to get into play too often, but if you have a Poliwag, a Poliwrath, and a Poliwrath in play, you're doing 60 more damage. So if you can get both of these out, or rather even not this guy, but this one, and then he's already attacks 1 energy, right? 50 plus 50, it came from the bench. You're doing 160 damage with this guy in play. So you can gonna do cool things here, but really you want to get this Politoed out, and then if you can get this guy out. We'll take a look at the Poliwraths here before we look at the rest of the line. This Poliwrath, I don't play any fighting energies because Beatdown's not that good of an attack. It only does 40 plus 30 if they're a dark Pokemon, so boo. Hyper Splash does 60 plus 30 if they're a stage 2. So it's 90 on a non-EX 120 fighting Pokemon for 1 energy. That's why you play this one. You don't have to. I think it's probably the weakest Poliwrath in the deck, but 1 energy for 90, not too shabby. This Poliwrath does 60 and snipes for 30, and then the second attack, if you have 2 waters on there, does 130 and 30 to itself. It is an EX, so you don't get that one out too often. This one's probably the best Poliwrath. Oh, it's probably the second best Poliwrath, actually. It does 50 plus 50 if it came from the bench, so you play a couple extra switching ways. If you get this guy out, you're dealing 160. You're never really going to use Whirlpool much because you don't think you're going to get 3 waters on there. And then this Poliwrath does Wake Up Slap 80 plus 80 if they're affected by a special condition. Now, this Poliwrath over here, when it gets knocked out by an attack, they're confused. So if you lead with this and you're dealing 90 damage over and over again against stage 2s, or 60, however, and then you get knocked out, they get confused, you can come up and one-shot it almost basically with 160 damage on this guy, as long as you can attack for free, right? So these kind of work well together. This is for switching, this is for sniping. A lot of cool ways to get around this. You'll notice though that these 3 Poliwraths are all EXs, so that is one of the downsides of the deck. You kind of have to watch out. These 3 are not, but they're also like either not your best attacker or just support Pokemon. To keep in mind, by the way, this does not reduce the attack cost of Politoeds, so you can't Hyper Voice for 1 and you can't Frog Hop for 1. Just keep that in mind. We're going to look over here at the rest of the line. Actually, there is you can play 5. How about that? Because there is a Misty's Poliwhirl and a Misty's Poliwag. So you are able to play 5. A note on this though, if you're trying to get the Frog Song out here, or not Frog Hop, Enthusiasm, we have Poliwhirl, Poliwag, and Poliwrath. If these are the ones that you have in play, they're not Poliwag and Poliwhirl, they're Misty's. So these are the ones that you kind of want to evolve right away and leave these ones in play. You'll notice on attack costs, all of these can also attack for 1 energy, because you notice the colors. This one can attack for free, and all of them can be reduced to only attack for 1 energy. Finishing Blow is a really good attack over here, 50 plus 50 if they have damage on them. That's to keep in mind. Hydro Pump does 30 plus 10 for every water energy, so you can even attach waters and do 40-50 before you get up to that actual attack cost. Same with Water Punch. There's a lot of cool little interactions on the line. Normally we don't look at those, but hey, we are playing a 5-5-6 line. It's kind of bananas. So 16 Pokemon on the line. That means we don't have a lot of room for other stuff. So we're just going to play our standard 10 over here. You know, bench space is not a lot of issue in this deck since there's only 5 non-support basics. So these 10 you'd play just because there's no reason not to, and that does it for your Pokemon. Quite easy that way. deck is very vanilla, very bland, but it does have a lot of options and can be kind of fun, especially if you love Poliwhirl or Poliwag and you love things that kind of interact with each other in funky ways. So AZ, Baybase, Colress, Copycat, leading off with the same cards as always. You're going to have some Guzma, a Hexmaniac option, and then Karina as well. All standard stuff here. Lysander, Lysander's trump card. Mario's Request, M, Mallow, Collector, and Juniper. Still standard. Oak's New Theory, Sycamore, Admin, Rosies. We're playing Sages as our draw power because there are a lot of things you don't mind discarding. Just because, like, whereas normal Stage 2 decks, you don't want your rest of your line discarded. You do have 5 of them in this case for the extra consistency, so discarding is not the worst thing. I kind of like Sages over Lookers. Anyways, Teammates, Twins, and Wallies. You're going to be behind a lot of times, so Twins I think is a good card here instead of Skyla. But you could consider Skyla if you like the Skyla option. I just think it might be a little bit too slow for this deck. This deck is slower because you need a lot to set up, so I think you're always going to be behind in the early stages of the game, and then you'll take those knockouts mid to late game. That's just kind of how this deck works. This deck is definitely like the definition of like mid tier, not top tier by any means, but I don't know. It's not bad. You'll win games. You just won't win them all. Bill, Computer Search. We're gonna play a Dive Ball because everything's water. The only thing that's not water is your support Pokemon and the one Poliwrath. Keep in mind that this also can search for Lapras, so anything that plays Dive Ball naturally gets a little boost from that. You play a Hypnotoxic Laser for the Wake Up Slap. Poliwrath, being able to poison them and then shot them for 160, plus poison goes to 170. Great one-shot potential there. Item Finder, Junk Arm, Level Ball, rounding out there. Luxury Ball, Max Potion. Everything's attacking for 1 energy, right, with Politoed in play, so Max Potion just makes sense. Misty's Wrath, Palpad, Pcom, Imposter Oak's Invention, Professor Oak. We're going to be playing Rare Candy and Breeder. Makes sense there. Now we are playing a Repeat Ball. That's because it does require you to get out multiples of things. And since there are 5, you can actually kind of abuse Repeat Ball just a little bit extra in this deck. It's just a little bit extra search for consistency's sake. There isn't any other Pokemon, right? It's literally just like the 5/5/6 line. So Repeat Ball does make sense in a deck like this, where really all you want from your bonus search is Politoeds and Poliwraths. You could consider switching out for a Pokemon Trader. I don't think there's a Trader in here at all. There are no Traders, so you consider switching out this for a Trader if you really wanted to. Rescue Stretcher for recovery, as well as Time Space Distortion for recovery, as well as Rescue Stretcher for recovery, because you're playing such a thick line. Scoop Up. You are playing Surprise Time Machine and Swoop Teleporter. Surprise Time Machine because there are 6 Stage 2s in here, all evolving from the same one. So if you need one over the other in certain situations, you can surprise it. Plus, it's nice to get your EXs off of the field. If your EX is about to die, you can switch it for one of the non-EX ones just to have them take one less prize. Timer Ball, because there are just a boatload of evolutions in this deck. Timer Ball works for that search. Like I said, you can switch this out for a Trader if you don't like it. Ultra Ball, Versus Seeker, Windstorm, Evo Soda, and Escape Rope. All very standard looking stuff. There's a little bit extra recovery and a lot extra search in this deck. Since there is room, since you do play less energies, you can pepper in that room somewhere else. Doesn't make sense to pepper it into Pokemon. Kind of doesn't make sense to pepper it into supporters. So we put that extra room from playing less energies into the into extra search and recovery to keep as many Poliwraths on the field as possible. Supporters. Broken Time Space makes sense. It's an evolution deck. You need that. Brooklet Hill for that extra search. It is all about streaming Poliwraths and getting as many out as possible. So Brooklet Hill makes sense. And Skyfield, even though this deck does have bench space issues, or doesn't have bench space issues, it's nice to get out for the situations where you need that extra Poliwag for the Politoed's extra damage or what have you. So it's not bad in this deck. It can be cut. I don't know what you would cut it for. Maybe like a Rough Seas, for instance. That's probably what it would be. Rough Seas for Skyfield is one thing you consider if you don't like Skyfield. We're also going to be looking at both Floatstone and Fluffy Berry. A lot of these have big retreats. And the other reason this is nice is because if something dies, you can promote something with Fluffy Berry or Floatstone on it. That way you can retreat into the one that does damage if it was on your bench, the one from Evolutions. Having this extra switching options are nice for that. We played Poison Barb, and that's for the one from Sun and Moon. Is it Sun and Moon? Is it XY? It's one of those. Sun and Moon, or the one that does damage if they're affected by a special condition. Poison Barb is nice. Rescue Scarf because you want to keep all of your Poliwags, Politoeds in play, just extra recovery options, and then Muscle Band for staple extra damage. All those just kind of make sense there. You are playing all of your Elite Four, as well as Dowsing Machine. No reason not to play any of these, and Dowsing Machine is clearly your best option there. And then for energies, we are going to play double colorless. There are some attacks that do acquire a DCE to play, or a water and a DCE, and this comes in handy whenever you get hexed or gooped. If you already had that one water energy attached anyways, usually you can attach a DCE and still use your same attack. Wake Up Slap, for example, does 80 plus 80. That one, it's water, colorless, so it makes sense for turns to get hexed. Splash Energy for extra recovery, and 3, 6, 8 water energies. I found that this is more than enough. Just because you have that the Politoed that reduces attack costs. So yeah, that does it for Politoed Poliwrath. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you next one.